Download the AllStar app. Make your picks for UFC fights, challenge your friends, level up and win prizes. Link in description. Get it now. Sportspolitica.news. They are reporting that Khabib's gym has been raided after terror attacks. And this is what you need to know. So UFC star Khabib Nurmagomedov's gym in his native Dagestan was raided after it was discovered that one of the gunmen involved in a recent terror attack trained there. Here's why this matters. So the article is written by Kareem Zidane, who does a lot of this type of work. I think he used to do it for like Bloody Elbow in the past, but very known for investigative journalism. Like I consider him like a real journalist.
Yeah.
Like most of these people that are in MMA media, they're not journalists. They call themselves a journalist, and they're like, "I'm gonna be the best." Yeah, whatever.
Right.
Fuck off.
It ends up just being gossip.
Yeah, it's just you're just becoming a tool for the UFC or whatever. You know what I mean? Like you think you're doing all this, like you're not doing anything. Like you're not out there investigating things. You know what I mean? And journalists, there's different levels of journalism. But anyways, we're not here to talk about. We're here to talk about Khabib and his gym, right? So. The Sports Politica has reported that one of the gunmen involved in the recent terror attack on Christian and Jewish houses of worship in Dagestan previously trained at Nurmagomedov's gym. At least 21 people, including 16 police officers and a priest, were killed in the attack. That is crazy, right?
That is crazy.
That is nuts. That is nuts, right? So there's a video of Khabib's gym in Dagestan being raided by the police. And... yeah, so they're saying that the gunman that trained at his gym, allegedly, his name is Gadziramuradov Kagirov. He is a master of sport, right? Which is very honorary title, right?
Yeah,
it's a very good title to have.
Yeah, that is not an easy title
in
to
freestyle
achieve.
wrestling too.
Yeah, I've heard of this title before. Not many people.
28 years old. His record in 28-year-old fighter.
Yep.
Record is 2-0 as a pro. He's part of Khabib's Eagle MMA Fight Club. Trained the training facility founded in Dagestan, and then the club was renamed later after his father was Khabib's father passed away, right? So right now, like I've spoken with a few people that trained or have trained at that school, right? And I mean, these guys, they have a formula, right? They have their own secrets. They do what they do, right? Yeah. They're creating great fighters. Khabib, one of the greatest fighters of all time. Islam, and they have a long list of guys in that gym. But them being connected to terrorism is not a good look,
right?
For the gym, for Khabib, for his team, for the country, for the sport.
Right.
What do you think?
Yeah, so it's like because you don't want to be associated with that because then that comes with attracting the wrong crowd, and like it causes a lot of problems for you too. Because now you're not gonna. Like the more people see you as in association with that, well, one, it gives combat sports a bad name because people already look at combat sports that don't otherwise know the benefits of martial arts, and they're like, oh, like these people are just violent, right? And so it's not a good look. Now, at the same time, I think they ended up denying some involvement with him, right? They were like, oh, he trained here for like a month. Like with a training partner or something like that, and then left. So we wouldn't consider him one of like Abdul Manap's students or something like that.
Yeah, and let's give the people that are watching a little bit more information. Yes.
Yep.
Khabib said that he came to the school in like 2021,
right?
With his older brother for like a month or so.
Yeah. And
after that, they never seen him again.
Right.
So tying his gym to this alleged terrorist or extremist is kind of wrong if this is the true story,
right? Because I'm
not
sure,
kind of wrong. Sorry, it is wrong.
Yeah, because we've had people at tourist destination gyms where I'm sure there are people from questionable backgrounds and stuff that spend a month or even more here, where we don't know what they do at home. But at the same time, do we want to be associated in some way with it? in some cases, no. And so it's being careful who you consider part of the family, or like part of the circle, so to speak. And so like I don't know at which point you would consider them, you know, like, oh, he's a student here or whatever, right? But we've definitely had people coming through the gym and people coming through Phuket in general where you know, sometimes they're here because they're escaping the consequences of that life, let's say, from overseas. And so it's like, that's a shaky subject. Because I don't want to give, you know, what's it called, like a really like set in stone opinion. I think it depends on like background and stuff. Yeah, if you're shooting up like places of worship, you know, absolutely, there's no place for that, right? But it's like, if someone's like wrongfully convicted or whatever and then shows up here, still has that reputation, then it's like, all right, maybe we do give them some wiggle room. So in a lot of cases, we'll take it by a case by case basis. But in this case, I think it's more than okay for them to deny association, or at least a long-term association, a positive relationship with this person who was part of a group that shot up all these places of worship and killed like 16 people or whatever it was.
Yeah, it's horrifying.
Yeah.
You know, like what they're doing. And, you know, you guys got to keep in mind as well, it's like not only Khabib's gym was raided, other gyms, other MMA gyms in Dagestan were raided similarly, right? So it's not like, oh, Khabib's just the biggest name.
Right.
And he's the most accomplished, right? The most famous. So, of course, he's going to be on the news and they're going to have video of it and they're going to having Khabib in the title just, you know, garners clicks, right?
Yeah.
So that could be one thing, you know, and yeah, it sucks because, like, you know, we've seen certain gyms, right? Especially being here, we've seen certain gyms, like anybody can go and buy gear.
Right.
From any location. Like, it's not even just gyms. It could be like just a brand. Like this one is, I think this is like Quicksilver or something like that, right? Like, just because like I'm wearing this shirt and it's Quicksilver and I do a crime in it doesn't mean like Quicksilver is connected to the crime. You know, like a lot of people like try to play association with that, right? Like somebody's wearing like a, you know, American Top Team shirt or a jersey or something, and they're out there and they beat up somebody in the street. They're like, oh, he must be part of American Top Team. But it could be furthest from the truth. He probably ordered the shirt from online. You know what I mean? It's not like, oh, this guy was beating up a dude on the street and he's wearing a, you know, a Billabong shirt. Billabong's responsible. Right?
Yeah, I think with the mainstream clothing brands, people are more able to make that dissociation because the brand itself has gotten so large. But I think with gyms and stuff, we haven't quite gotten into, we're kind of in this like global social media age now, right? Where gyms can be globally known considering how small they are in size compared to, you know, like the Adidas and Nike, Reebok, Billabong, Quicksilver, right?
All
where
that
it's,
stuff.
Yeah, where it's like, where now you can be a significantly smaller organization, have values that are very different from someone who's wearing a t-shirt from your gym. And then, you know, all of a sudden they're not representing your values, but now just unfortunately by association, it's like, you don't want to deny somebody.
You get attached to it.
Right.
Yeah. You attach to it and, well, the person that's committing the crime is attached to it, you know what I mean? Or like you frequented this place, you're attached to it. It's whenever you investigate somebody for a crime, of course they're going to investigate every single detail of that person's life, where they've been for the past how many years and like locations they frequented and like people they associated with, you know, like all these things. It goes deep. We don't know much about the investigation at all, right? We just know what the newspaper is telling us. So like you got to give Khabib the benefit of the doubt, right? Because these countries, they could be very corrupt too, and like Khabib might have did something that they didn't like, right? It could go that deep, right?
Could be.
Another part of this story, shout out to Low Kick MMA again for a nice little article. Khabib's account seized by Russian Federal Tax Service over $3 million in debt. Number one is, why is Khabib in debt?
Right.
I thought he made crazy money, dude, like insane amounts of money. Okay.
Yeah.
So it says right here in May, there was a report that surfaced claiming that he owes 297 million rubles or $3.3 million to the Russian Federal Tax Service as a result of multiple accounts associated with his businesses and charities. And those businesses and charities have been frozen by the government. And Russia, it's not like Russia hasn't done this before with people that have money. They've done this many times, right?
I see.
So it's hard to believe exactly what they're putting out there on the news because they've done this, right? They've, and it kind of sucks, and it may be connected to the terrorist attacks.
Okay.
It may be. We don't know yet, right? And maybe this is a way of the Russian government
just trying to crack down
or not distract, but like shake people up, right?
I see.
To get people scared.
Got it.
And I thought Dagestan was like a separate country. I guess not, right? If Russian authorities are coming into the country and doing raids.
Right. I don't want to say something factually inaccurate.
Yeah,
like in something so sensitive. I think they recognize themselves or something as a separate thing. And then that's the massive dispute, I think, whether they're governed by Russia or not. So then if he's not paying taxes or debt to the Russian government as a way of making a statement, being like, look, it's my money, right? Like
maybe it's like Puerto Rico or something. Like how Puerto Rico is not really part of the U.S., but it's part of the U.S.
I see what you mean.
Like it's a U.S. territory or something like that. Or like Guam. Guam is like part of the U.S., but it's not. It's weird. Like it's a weird thing, right? So it's like, oh, you're from Guam. But then the U.S. government can come in and raid you if they want to.
Right, yeah.
Like you're from Puerto Rico, but the U.S. government can do, like
yeah,
they go
it's
by
under
the
jurisdiction.
Law. Yeah.
But like,
so maybe that's what it is. I don't know about the history as well. You know what I mean? It's definitely a sensitive topic because you go back to the USSR and all the countries that were part of Russia at that time, or not even Russia, Soviet Union.
Yep.
Right. So yeah. So let's skip past that because we don't want to like get people angry about that. But yeah, it's kind of odd, and I want to give you guys an example of like why this report is not surprising. Because Putin, right?
Yeah.
This guy, he jailed like one of the biggest, like most richest people in Russia. Like jailed him, right? So let me try to bring this up. Where did he go to jail?
I think I vaguely remember. I don't remember the guy's name that got jailed.
Yeah, his name is Mikhail Khodorkovsky. Okay, so it says right here on Wikipedia, there was widespread concern internationally that the trials and sentencing were politically motivated. Okay, let me see what it is. Let me get up here. Okay, so in 2001, Khodorkovsky founded Open Russia, a reform-minded organization to build and strengthen civil society in the country. In October 2003, he was arrested by Russian authorities and charged with fraud. The government of Putin then froze shares of Yukos shortly thereafter on tax charges. There's tax again.
Tax charges.
And I think the dude owned like one of the biggest oil companies in the world.
I see.
And that's why he was so rich.
I guess tax is the most approachable offense you can jail somebody on. Yeah,
easiest, right? So
easiest to prove. There's records everywhere.
Look what happened. Putin's government took further action against Yukos. Yukos is probably is the name of the company, leading to a collapse of the company's share price and the evaporation of much of the Khodorkovsky's wealth.
Oh, okay.
So May 2005, he was found guilty and sentenced to 9 years in prison.
Oof.
December 2010, he's still serving his sentence. Khodorkovsky and his business partner were further charged with and found guilty on embezzlement and money laundering. 2014, extended his jail sentence 2014.
Holy crap!
And then what's wild is, on being pardoned by Putin and released from prison at the end of 2000, he pardoned and released the same guy he charged and put in prison.
Jesus.
Khodorkovsky immediately left Russia and was granted residency in Switzerland. So there's a history of this. This is just one big example. This is just an example that I remembered from like a podcast or something. But yeah, like Khabib being charged with tax evasion, tax stuff. I think we're reading too much into it. Maybe this is just pressure by the government, and you don't know when you go into politics. There's all kinds of stuff going on.
Right. Yeah,
but,
and it's not rare to be carrying debt as like as a highly wealthy person.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Right?
for tax purposes, for this or that, right? Like it actually makes sense for a lot because like you can't get taxed on debt is the kind of like the main
Exactly.
argument.
Right. And there's probably you're taking loans out, even though you have money.
Right.
You know, there's a
Yeah.
rich man game is different
Right.
than
Because
poor
like,
man game.
yeah, because now you've got this like we'll say this massive asset and then you can pledge that as collateral and be like, look, I'm taking out a loan. I want it to be worth this much. Like you can claim this item that I have if I don't pay it back. Of course, you're gonna pay it back. And then next thing you know, right now you've got this chunk of cash that you don't have to pay taxes on because it's technically debt. But do you have the means to pay off that debt? Absolutely. And so like if you're wealthy, you can play that game, and then that's one way you can. Again, not financial advice, but it is one game that you can play to avoid taxes.
It is a lot of negative publicity and news, towards Khabib and his team. But I would, if I was people in the community, and even if you hate Khabib, like you would have to want to let this ride out and see all the facts and see how it plays out, rather than just like, oh, he's a terrorist too. It's easy to just, but be careful who you call a terrorist.
Yeah.
Be very careful. Like that's not something that you want to just be throwing around.
Yeah.
Loosely.
Yeah. There's a lot of nuance to these stories.
Exactly. And so I hope Khabib is not involved. I hope not, because it's not good for the sport. And this guy that was part of the shootings and stuff, him being involved is not good for the sport and the image of like fighting at all. Like especially in their country.
Yeah, you don't want to associate combat sports with crime because then now like it's
already violence.
Yeah. So now you'll end up in a very slippery slope if people associate with crime, because then participation rates will go down. People will like viewership, popularity will go down, right? The people who pump money into the fight game are like mostly hobbyists and people who want to enjoy it for fun, not do it as a profession. And so the less support you get from them as a result of being associated with crime, right? Like all of us end up suffering at some point down the line because people aren't pumping money in as a means of support.